Yep, thanks a lot, Marty. As Marty said, we had a lot of success with coder camps, and I saw a lot of people's lives change. You know, when you see people go from, driving a truck or something into a professional upper middle class career, it really does have an impact on you. We had the opportunity to sell that company and move on. And while we had that company, though, we never went a week or so without someone coming to me and saying, hey, do you have that for my 8-year-old? Can my 13-year-old get into that? Hey, my 10-year-old, all he does is live on his tablet. I would love him to be more proactive in learning how to code. And so really, as we were going through, and as soon as we had the time and opportunity, we knew that this was going to be our next challenge, which was to bring coding to kids. And so when we addressed how we were going to approach this and what kind of brand we were going to build, some of the key things that we wanted for the vision were, let's talk to kids at their level. Let's bring it to them in a way that they can understand in a consumable way. But also, I'm a parent of 2 boys, 8 and 10 years old. We have a lot of activities that they do where they don't exactly want to go. We have to kind of drag them or at least push them out the door to get them to go to this event. So what we wanted to make sure is that Code Ninjas, there's never a day that a parent has to fight with a kid to go to Code Ninjas. This is a fun experience for kids. We don't call it a classroom. We don't have teachers. There's no lectures. We're talking to them at their level through gamification and just through having a great time. And they're learning something very valuable. And let's not take that away from the experience, that they're absolutely learning something valuable. And then we thought, from a parent's perspective, this could look like we're just having fun. We want to make sure that the parents on the other side obviously and very proactively know what their kid is learning, that yes, they're playing video games or yes, they're building video games, but here's how this game applies to what their journey looks like. And so that's when we came up with kind of the belt structure, and then we can show the parents along that belt path exactly what it means to be a Code Ninja and where they came from and where they're going. And so far, that's been about 10 months of work, putting all that together, and our first center is open in Pearland, and it is just going crazy. The parents love it. The kids are, asking to come more often. We limit them to 2 times a week right now in the drop-in program, and we're about to have to extend that for an accelerated program so that they can come 3 times a week because the kids absolutely love coming. They love the curriculum. They love playing with their friends. They love hanging out and building great games and learning. They know, that we're not pulling some magic trick. This isn't Jedi mind tricks. They understand that they're learning something, but it's something they want to learn. It's something that we are engaging with them on. So it's a really exciting time. Very soon we're going to be inundated with Me Too's, and there's just no way around that. So what we have to do is we have to bridge this gap very quickly. We have to be the de facto player on the market, and we have to do it right. We have to have franchisees that are set up, making money, that love what they do, that get the support infrastructure that they need, that have a franchisee support rep that they like and enjoy talking to on a regular basis, that have all the materials that they need, that have a fantastic curriculum that is proprietary, that has all these things that are going to make us the world leader in childhood adult education. That's the key to us. That's what we're doing. That's what we're setting up right now. Been in your shoes, taking it to the next level, completely understand. I think the vision for our company for the next few years, in the next 10 years, is basically, by 5 years, we want to go international. Last week I got into some minutiae on that. I think it just distracts from it. In the next 10 years, we should be in 20 countries and 1,500 centers. We really have a big vision for this, and we're not going anywhere. We're hitting it full steam. With the changes that we've made in the last couple of weeks,
We've made it easier than ever to get on board. We've redoubled our efforts on support, materials, technology, and training. We've brought in consultants to build out a pipeline that makes it easier to get started. We've reconfigured all of our expenses to open up to make it cheaper and easier to get started. So we really have taken the feedback from our franchisees up to date and our potential franchisees that had some concerns and orchestrated a plan that is so unique and just that I won't say it's going to be easy because it's not going to be. It's never easy going into business for yourself, but we have made it as easy as possible to be successful in this business. I'm going to open it up in just a minute for some questions. Last week we had a really great round of question and answers, and I'm so appreciative of that. I think we're going to have another good round this week. What happens is you're going to push *6 to get in the queue. I'll turn on the Q&A session here in just a minute. *6 lets you raise your hand, and I can see who's got their hand raised, and we'll just go down the list. Right now, I'd like to introduce Anjali. She's one of our first franchisees, and let her just talk for just a minute about her experience. And she's nice enough to join the call today and let us know a little bit about her experience. Give me 1 second to unmute her here.
Thanks, David. Hi, everyone. My name is Anjali DeGay. My husband and I actually moved from, just to give you a little bit of quick high-level background, we moved from Washington, D.C. down to North Carolina just under a year ago with the notion of starting a business down here. We're both very forward-thinking entrepreneurs, just like you all, I'm sure. When we moved down here, one of the things that we realized is we have a 13-year-old son, and there were a ton of resources in the D.C. area for STEM education. In the North Carolina area, there really wasn't a lot that afforded us to be able to give him those resources. As David had mentioned, one of the things that he's been on is Code Ninjas, Code Academy, Code.org. All of those different resources have been used in the past, but it's not really something that stuck with him just because you have to have that routine to a certain degree, and we just couldn't get into that routine. And as he mentioned, when he got stuck, neither my husband nor I are coders, if you will, to the way that it's being taught today. So when we moved down here, one of the things that we really looked at were ideas around STEM education and more in particular coding. So we did a lot of research to figure out what are businesses that we can start. Now, one of the thoughts that a lot of people said was, why didn't you start one on your own? Well, the answer to that was very simple, which is that in order to create these kinds of programs, you need at least a good year in advance to start developing the curriculum. So that's when we started looking into the franchise field. We actually did our research. We compared different ones. We looked at what was out there. We did our market research, created business plans around coding, looked at what the future holds. And even in the future, as schools do start looking at coding, it's going to be very limited. A lot of the teachers themselves, especially at the ages between 7 to 14, they're pretty much generalists to a certain degree, if you will. They're either teaching math or history or English, but you don't really have coding teachers in the schools at this age. And one of the things that was really nice is even though it's self-paced learning and it is online, the fact that we will have particular individuals at the location itself that have that background, that have that great fun attitude, I think will round out that knowledge base to create a community by which these children are learning within. So I think those are some great things that we took a look at in determining whether or not to jump into this particular franchise. I've talked to a couple of people who are actually interested in looking at purchasing the franchises. Some of their questions ranged from, as simple as, well, for some individuals, as simple as financing, all the way to why we chose this particular group. And again, we did our research. We talked to another company out there that is that is out there, and really looking at the business plans, really looking at the philosophy, if you will, of each of the companies that are out there, really looking at the financial forecasting of what made financial sense, not only for us from investing into the company, but also the ROI. The ROI is such a quick return. As David mentioned, when we went down actually and saw his space in Pearland, Texas, we saw a space that was well-defined, well thought out. Colors were looked at, the design, the feel, everything was so welcoming to the point that it was done so professional. So those are things to keep in mind as you're looking, and I don't know any of you, and I don't know any of your backgrounds, and this is one of those things where I've just jumped on and said, you know what, whatever I can do to help build this community of franchise owners, I will do. We're not franchisors. We don't have that experience in the past, but we have this idea of where we want to see our son and the potential that we see for all these kids today. And again, for jobs that don't even exist in the future. So I'll make myself, and I have in the past made myself available for questions, even outside of this call. David, I don't want to take up a lot of your time or anyone who's got questions, but feel free. If this is something that you want to talk about, either myself or my husband, we will definitely make ourselves available to talk about our experience in further detail.
Thanks, Anjali. Anjali and V have been great. They've been, one of our pioneers, so they've had to jump on so many phone calls and just been a real team player, and we appreciate that about you guys. We're going to go ahead and get the Q&A started here in just a second. If you have a question for me, and I guess if Anjali is going to stay on, she can answer a couple of questions too. It's a really great opportunity so that we don't inundate her during the week, that you go ahead and get her a question asked. Let me get to the Q&A started. Okay, so you'll hit *6 to ask a question. All right, here we got a question. Please state your name and the territory you're looking at. Hello? Okay. Next question.
Hello?
Hi. You're calling from North Louisiana, I can tell. It's my home turf.
I'm having technical issues over here with the *6. I know that sounds ridiculous. This is Carrie Wilson from Shreveport, Louisiana. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. That's my hometown.
Yes, Jeff and I have been talking about that.
Oh, great.
I'm excited to get things going in Shreveport. My question for you guys is, do you guys have any plans of taking it past the age range of 14, or is there a reason why there's a 14 age cutoff? Could you go a little bit deeper into that?
Yeah, that's a great question. The reason we cut off at 14, and I kind of joke about it, but it's kind of true too, is that anybody less than 7 and anybody over 14 thinks they know everything. So we have some pretty complex concepts, and I think what we're trying to do in the space that we're doing it, it makes the most sense to kind of cut off the teenagers right now. Additionally, our curriculum is branded in such a way that I think high schoolers may be turned off a little bit by it, just to be frank. We're rolling up a new curriculum for adults that will be targeted to high schoolers and the like. So I think they're going to be coming. It's definitely something that we're taking a look at and want to get proactive on. But right now we're just going to focus on the kids, and we're seeing huge success with what we're doing. Does that answer your question, Carrie?
It does. Thank you so much.
Great. Uri Drive and East 70th. That's where I would put one in Shreveport if I was doing it.
We're getting the quotes today on that location.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. All right. Thank you so much. Next question.
Hi, David. This is Sandeep from Minneapolis.
Hi, Cindy.
So I have a couple of questions. The first one being for the after-school program, what I heard from Jeff, I believe, which is going to be started when the school season starts in fall. So the only, not the only, for after-school program, you will have a coding as a curriculum for the students. Is there a plan to add math or any other subject for after-school program as well? So that way parents get more choices, math and coding. So it would make more, yep, good.
Yeah, so it's a great question. And so the real short answer is probably not. We're not going to go down those paths right now because, well, I know that some kids think math is fun, but our whole thing is the kids' experience in Code Ninjas has to be like the penultimate of fun. It is a fun, it's not a learning environment for them. They're just having fun. So it kind of breaks that brand in a way if we bring in, reading and math. And frankly, those things have been done before. Those things have been done by Kumans and Sylvans for years, and they're good at it. And we're not trying to compete in that space with them. What we're trying to do is be the quintessential coding experience for kids in an after-school program. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And the second question is, I haven't seen any of the facilities I might see as I go forward, but the Code Ninja facility, are they going to have, do they choose something for kids to do outside as well? I'm just focusing more on the after-school program. I know the kids will be there from 3 to 5 or 6. So for sure, they won't be doing 5 days a week coding. They'll be playing and doing a lot of other things. So if I want to send my kid to after school, I want to have some more things for to be done with my kid.
So the plan is for our after-school care is they're going to be enrolled in the Code Ninjas drop-in program. Essentially, 2 days a week they'll do Code Ninjas. But on a day-to-day basis, basically what you're going to see is we pick them up at 3 o'clock. We probably get back to the center around 4. They have a snack if their parents packed one. We help them with their homework. This is not a tutoring center for homework, but we're adults and they're 4th graders. We can probably help them a little bit. Get their homework done. And then after their homework is done, they do some activity that's logic-based around coding. So either that's going to be our Code Ninjas drop-in program, essentially, or a robotics kit, or some game puzzles, or Tinker Time, or whatever we decide we put in the schedule. That means, and then after that, they can have their own game time. But we have a structured portion of the evening, and then help them with their homework. As far as an outside area, I don't right now have any plans for having a little playground or anything, but if you find a space that's like perfectly conducive to that, with a fenced-in area and we feel like our kids can be secure, I'm not going to tell you no, if it's already built out like that. But that's a great question. I had to mute you there because I heard some laughing going on. Did that answer your question, though?
Yeah, it does. So one final question. So when you say we pick up the kids at 3 o'clock, are you thinking to provide a transportation from the school to the center, or?
Yeah, that's right. So yes, that's correct. We bought a van. We have it wrapped and beautiful, and it sits out in the front of our center, and we get more business from that van than you might expect. Additionally, the schools in our area are within a 1-mile driving radius, so it's super quick to go make a trip. And your mileage is going to vary. You do what you got to do in your community and do a little research there, but that's what we plan on doing.
So the finances or the expenses for somebody as a franchise owner has to incur, that does include the cost of the van as well, or is it on top of it?
I'm not sure, so I'm going to have to say I don't know about that one.
Okay, no worries.
I just I'm not familiar with the breakdown there, so I don't want to give you misinformation. All right, great questions. Thank you. All right. Again, if you just joined the call, I see a few people just joined. It's *6 to ask a question. That's *6 to ask a question.
Hi, this is Barry from Georgia. How you doing, David?
Pretty good. I can barely hear you. I'm sorry. You're kind of muffled.
Hi, this is Barry Qureshi from Georgia.
Hi, Barry. How are you?
Good, good. Quick question while we have Anjali as well. So the question for you and Anjali is, what do you see people doing with their full-time jobs? You see people like quitting that and going in full-time, or how are they managing this? How do you foresee this? Like, is there like a center director and a couple of tutors, or so what do you see as a staff for different square footages and programs? If you can just kind of shed some light, and if Anjali has any, she and her husband are doing something similar to balance the business.
So if it's okay, Anjali, I'll address the staff portion, and you can talk about what you and V plan on doing as far as quitting your jobs and living the high life.
Sure thing.
Okay. So as far as staff is concerned, we feel like you need a 10-to-1 ratio of student to teachers in the classroom. And then at our facility, we chose to have a manager, and one of the teachers or the coaches are kind of a key person where they have the ability to lock up and open up. So it's a little bit of a hybrid assistant manager role in that particular individual. Does that answer your question on the staffing side a little bit?
Yes, it does. Thanks.
Okay.
You
want to talk?
Sure. And for V and I, when we came down, we were actually looking at, again, not getting into franchising before. We didn't know what to expect. So at the beginning, we were both like, we're going to be managing their places. We're going to be running it. What we didn't realize is the time that it takes on the front end of leasing negotiations, GCs, all of those architects, design work, just basically getting the space ready. So what we've done is actually I'm working on it pretty much almost full-time, but full-time is really when people decide to get back to me if I'm not on them. But then outside of that, my husband, he does a lot of consulting work. So we kind of have a best of both worlds situation right now. However, our goal, we actually have an area development agreement in place. So our goal is to open 4 centers in the next 4 years. So our train of thought right now, and again, we're not deep in the weeds right now, so we've got these lofty goals, is that we'll general manage 1 location. This next year we'll be opening up our second one, and so we'll kind of tag team where I'm working 1 location and my husband's working another location. And at that time, because we know our ROI right now is set at 2 years, we know that the profitability will set in year 3 to allow us to open the 3rd location. As we open the 3rd location right now, again, our plan is that we will hire a manager over the 1st location, potentially the 2nd location, while we open up the 3rd and the 4th locations. And at that point, again, we're going to start seeing that profit coming in. We're going to have a lot more flexibility. And when we actually did our financial planning, our financial analysis over the next 4 years, we actually did a financial plan for 4 years out. We ran with very, very, very conservative numbers. And those conservative numbers already have been so blown out of the water by Peerlands. Our 1st location right now, we're finalizing lease negotiations over the next week. And then we already have our GCs up and ready to go. We've got our design team ready to go. We've got our architects ready to go. We have everything so planned in advance and ready to go that we're hoping that it'll work like clockwork. So that's kind of where we're at right now. I'm hoping that answers your question.
Yes, somewhat it does. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, great. Anjali, while I got you off on mute there, can you speak to just kind of the support that you've got? I think a lot of people are probably on the call thinking, oh, well, we'll just sign this franchise agreement and then we'll never hear from anybody ever again. They just want my franchise fee. can you just speak to after the signatures came down, what happened and how you've been taken care of?
Sure, absolutely. I love David and I love Marty, and it's just the funniest thing because, when you start getting your foot in, once you sign up, you kind of pretty much know what you need to do. There is a compliance attorney as well, and she is so spot on with having, calendars pulled together, checklists pulled together, dates, times. If this is when your goal is to open your location, what do you need to do starting from the beginning? It's been kind of fun because I feel like and we started our process in January. So for us, because we were the first franchisees, the risk to us was a bit higher because it hadn't, to a certain degree, been open. It hadn't been proven. But our faith is so high in working with both David and Marty, and then coming out and seeing the space, and then hearing about how well it's been going, it's been just so positive. So once we signed, obviously we had a lot of work on our end that we needed to do, and David and Marty were so good at giving us the space that we needed as opposed to just jumping on us and saying, okay, you need to do this, this, and this. We had the space to kind of breathe, collect our senses together, figure out a plan, figure out our process, come up with a timeline, and work together with David, Marty, and the team. As we need them, I cannot tell you, they pick up the phone right away or they text me right back saying, I'm in a meeting, I'll get back to you in an hour, and that's exactly what they do. Our demands have not been extremely high, but if we don't hear from one another, I can tell you within a week, over the course of the week, we get kind of a little letter from Marty, a little text or something saying, I missed you guys, where are you? So it's been wonderful because it's as much as you need or as little as you need, and that's really how they've been playing it so far, so we couldn't have been more pleased.
Oh, I appreciate that. I'm glad you're having a great experience so far. All right, next caller, or next question, rather.
Hi, it's Anthony over here from New Jersey, Anthony Gallo. I was just wondering, I don't know if you had mentioned this earlier. I had to hop in and out of the call, but what are the enrollment numbers like now at the Pearland location?
Yeah, so this is going to hurt my heart not to be able to tell you this because we're just killing it so great. But the FDD is all that we can tell you. What I can say is we've had record months since we wrote that FDD information. We have,
Gotcha.
All of our concerns about would we be able to sign up people, in the drop-in program during the summer because, people are on vacation and et cetera, those have all just been put to the sidelines. We have seen, and it really came in key whenever we got the right manager in place. She's a mom in the community, and next week I'm actually going to see if she can be a part of the call too, because I think it would be important for you guys to be able to ask her some questions. But she was a part of the community, and she really has a great vibe for everything. And, I mean, it's just working, and it's a beautiful thing.
Sure. And actually, I had one more question.
Sure.
You guys had mentioned offering or working on lessons for adults during the day. What's your take on how the branding will work for the adult side of things?
Yeah, so what we want to do, and the biggest concern we've heard from the feedback from the franchisees and the potential franchisees around this is, how in the world am I going to teach an adult how to code? I mean, we can probably make a kid learn, at a lower scale, but how am I going to teach an adult how to code? So what we're doing is devising a system by which the franchisees just have to keep the lights on and keep the door open. If you can do those two things, we'll take care of everything else through partnerships and through our own management of tutors and students. So I can't make too many big announcements right now, even though I'm dying to, but that is coming down the pipeline in the next few weeks. We should have a real solid beta of that to roll out, and which will go, into our alpha center and then out to the beta centers as soon as possible.
Okay, cool. Thanks a lot, Dave. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Great questions. All right. If you're just joining the call or you have a question, you can hit *6 on your phone. I saw that a few people jumped on here. So *6 on your phone will allow you to ask a question. I got about 20 more minutes here, and I got to get to a meeting for lunch, but I'm happy to answer those questions up to the time there. Okay, go ahead with your question.
Hi, this is Danielle, and I'm just starting the research process. I was wondering exactly how is the curriculum delivered to the students?
That's it.
I see you have camps and you have drop-in type of teaching.
Right.
What do you do in both of them?
Great question. So the drop-in camps are completely self-paced. That means we don't have to have a certain time where all the white belts show up at the same time or a certain time where all the yellow belts show up. It means that parents have the flexibility to bring their kid whenever it makes sense for them. If you've got kids, then you know that you're struggling to be the taxi service. So we wanted to make sure at our center, and this is completely up to our franchisees, by the way, but at our center, we wanted to make sure that everybody, all of our parents had the ultimate in flexibility to show up for our drop-in center. So what that means is right now, our students are going to pick up some books or card decks, and they're going to go over to their desk, and they're going to open up their computer and go to the right website, and they're going to follow along in their own book or card deck that they have close by. Then if they get stuck, which they always get stuck and they always need help, they raise their hand and ask one of the coaches. Or, you know, what we see more often than not is they ask their buddy sitting next to them. So it's a very interactive, fun environment, right? It's not like a stodgy classroom. And they're loving it. They're having a great time. And they just ask their buddy sitting next to them. So that's kind of the vibe in the drop-in, which is really cool to see. And I invite anybody that wants to come down. You don't have to wait for Discovery Day. If you want to come down, you know, any given Tuesday and just show up, give me a few days head start, and I'll be there and I'll meet you there. It's only a few miles down from our corporate headquarters, so it's easy for me to do. But the summer camps, I'm sorry?
One more question about the drop-in. So you said they work off of a website and their cards. Is that a proprietary curriculum platform that you've developed? What are they working on?
Sure. So this first round, our version 1 is complete. Our curriculum is complete from white belt all the way through black belt. The kids are loving it, and the parents are loving it. So just to get that going, first of all, what we did in this first version, though, is we cherry-picked the best things on the web that we could currently find ready to go and readily available. And I understand the need for proprietary material. So our V2, which the first 4 belts will be done by this summer, are going to be books that sit on the shelf, and you'll have opportunity to get multiple sets, and they stay in the center. And those are going to be 100% proprietary built, using probably other people's platforms like Scratch and whatnot, but our lessons, our games that they're building, and our material 100%. Does that answer your question?
So they're using online websites already, like Code School or Code Academy, or what did they actually work on?
It's a variety of different tools that we found online and platforms that we found online, and we put them on the right path. The hardest thing that we heard from parents was, yeah, I know Khan Academy exists, or I know Scratch exists, or the other places, but I don't know how to get them through that program. I don't know, after he finishes one thing, I don't know what to send him on to next. So what we did was we bridged those gaps and put them in the right order and made a curriculum out of it. That's version 1. Okay, version 2 is coming out, is that all the written materials that they're using to go through it are going to be, ninjas jumping around and all of our branded materials to do that.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, it's a great question. We get it a lot. And just to point out, from the parents' perspective, we have had 0 parents ever ask us, is this a Code Ninjas curriculum that is, proprietary? I'm being kind of cute about that, but they just don't care. And so as a business model, it's less important than you might think. But I understand for the longevity, and it's only not super important right now because we have so little competition. So our goal and our objective is to get our own proprietary brand and flavor out there as soon as possible so that we will be the de facto curriculum. We are the Harvard of curriculums out there in the marketplace. Okay?
Okay. Can I ask one more question?
Sure. I didn't address your first question all the way. Can I go ahead and finish the summer camp?
Sorry, so you want to talk about the summer camp?
Yeah, so the summer camp is a little bit different in that it's not self-paced, but it's a group kind of a party. You know, we have all the kids, like right now we have 40 kids in the class right now, and probably 4 or 5 instructors that kind of float around, but one of the instructors is up at the screen going through the camp with the kids. So they kind of follow along. They'll end up inevitably doing their own things because, you know, 10-year-olds see shiny things and squirrels all over the place, and they'll just go do their own stuff a little bit. But, you know, for the most part, they try to keep them on track and keep them down the path. And the kids are absolutely loving it. It's a lot of fun.
Okay. I see that it's a turnkey, and all the facilities, they all look the same. So do we purchase all the equipment and furniture from you, and then you come and help us set it up? Is that how it works?
We have a preferred vendor that you don't purchase it directly from Code Ninjas corporate. We have a preferred vendor that you're introduced to right after you become a franchisee to start your design process as early as possible. And to speak to, you know, the every center looking exactly the same. You know, that was probably my first objective, was to make it as close to possible as we could. There are going to be times when, you know, in certain cities, in certain areas, you can't get a center that's, you know, 2,500 square feet. It's just not possible. So we're being really flexible on the spaces and the sizes and working with franchisees to get the best space for your market. You know, whatever makes sense for you in your market. That said, there's certain things that we just can't, you know, get rid of. The pixel wall, the front desk, the lobby, generally speaking, they need to have some centralized and common themed elements. You get what I mean?
Yes, I understand.
Cool.
Okay.
But that's how we got, you know, the latest release is that we got, you know, a build-out and a startup package that's right around $100,000 for an 1,800 square foot facility. And that's a really, really cool thing. If we can have build-out, you know, assuming you get some TI dollars and everything, move into a second-generation space, and there's some criteria there, but to get into for $100,000 in the right space, that's pretty unique.
Okay.
Cool?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, thanks for the questions. All right, next question. I have about 12 minutes here, so I'm going to ask everybody so I can get through these last 4 questions here that we just keep it to about 3 minutes and just ask the one question, your most important question, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I have a quick question. It's Michael. I'm from New Jersey. Pattern of revenues by month, you know, between the summer programs versus the after school during the school year.
So that's one of those things that the federal government doesn't let me talk a whole lot about, is the revenue line, unfortunately. We can't talk about anything that's not in the FDD. What I can say is that we've blown our projections out of the water. It's absolutely killed them. We have had record months after what was published in the FDD, so we did better than the stats there. We could not, I personally could not be happier with the performance of our center. That's about all I can tell you. I can't tell you specific numbers, unfortunately.
No, I wasn't looking for specific numbers. I was looking for, like, percentages, you know.
Yeah, that's actually specifically in the law that I cannot give you percentages of increase or percentages of revenue compared to expenses. I'm sorry. I really wish I could.
I was percentages of revenue, say quarterly, like, you know, it's a summer quarter, twice the revenues of the fall quarters, or
that's exactly what I cannot do, unfortunately.
Okay. All right.
But you know, I get where you're at. You got the right kind of game face on. I just can't help you on that particular question. That's actually one of the very few questions I cannot answer, unfortunately. Thank you. Did you have another question? Since I didn't get a lot of time there to answer that one. Sorry about that. I didn't hear from you, so I thought you dropped off. Get back in the queue, and I'll answer your question that you were coming up with there.
Hey, this is Barry again. I just want to build on a question that was asked earlier about the adult program branding. Is that also going to be around the ninja theme, or is that a different thing?
That's going to be a different thing. We felt like the ninjas were more kiddie, so the branding is going to change just a little bit. But the great thing about this program that we're devising is you guys have to do minimal, you know, just have a warm body present in your facility, you know, open the door and keep the lights on. And that's our hope, is that you do minimal, even advertising and everything like that. You'll be able to bring some revenue into your center during the day.
So no signage changes, no stationery changes, no line card changes involved with that?
Nothing like that. We expect no expenses to change as a result of adding the adults.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Hey, this is John from Louisiana.
Hi, John.
How
what part of Louisiana are you in?
I'm in the New Orleans area. I am actually friends with Marty because I was one of the first Anytime Fitness franchises and worked with Marty, and you got a rock star with him.
Yeah, he was one of the first people I called too. So.
Yeah, he and I worked together a lot, and you know, I've done, I believe, 13 Anytime. So I've been talking with Marty, and one of my quick questions for you was, how quick can I open one of these? If I have a facility and I'm ready to pull the trigger, how quick, in your estimation, could I be open?
You know, your mileage is going to vary. If you've built out 13 centers, you know that every permit office runs a little bit differently.
No doubt.
You know, all things being equal, and let's say it takes a couple of weeks for permits and you don't have one of these really, really onerous processes, I think you can probably get open in 2 to 3 months. Reasonably. The build out of, if you build to spec exactly what we built in our center, the preferred vendor will take about, I think it's 8 to 10 weeks to build out your FF&E, your furniture, fixtures, and equipment. The build out of the space takes about a month to a month and a half, so those are running kind of simultaneously. And then you have training that you come in towards the end of your build out. So it's conceivable. I would probably plan on 3 months.
Okay. And what's the smallest you're recommending to go at this point?
In our FDD, it says 1,200 square feet.
Okay.
I mean, if you're asking for my personal recommendation, I would probably sit somewhere in the 1,800 square feet.
Okay, beautiful. And real quick, last one. Can someone like me, who still to this day is horrible with the computers at Anytime Fitness because I'm just so behind with computer stuff, can someone like that run a facility like this who has no knowledge of computers himself?
That's a great question. I appreciate it. I got a couple more, so I'm going to take you out of the queue, but I appreciate the questions. The answer is absolutely. I mean, just as I was a software developer going into the gym industry some years ago, and I had no idea, trust me, I'd worked out like 3 days of my whole life. I had no idea of what was a successful gym looked like. I was still able to be successful because I followed a plan. What I would say is if you can follow a plan, and you know Marty, so you know he can make a great plan, If you can follow a plan, you can do this. This is not a technical hurdle that you're going to have to overcome. You're not going to have to, write a thesis paper and go get a computer science degree. This is built for anybody to be able to run this center, literally anybody. And add to the fact that you're going to have a support infrastructure behind it that is just top notch and world class. There's no worries there. Appreciate the question. Looks like my Shreveport friend is back.
John had the exact questions. We must have a Louisiana shared brain.
All right. That was it?
That was it, yes. I wanted to know
okay.
size and duration to open.
Great. I'd like to see one on Uri Drive here in the next few months.
I'm telling you, I'm working on it.
Great. Thanks for the questions. Last question here. I got about 4 or 5 minutes here to wrap up.
Hey, David, this is Sandeep again. Just, is there a plan for Code Ninja teachers to go within the franchise area and teach to students at other facilities because of the logistical issues as such? Like I've seen some, like your soccer, something, they go to different daycare and teach their soccer over there.
Yeah, I'm going to mute you. You got some wind noise going on. The answer to your question is at this time, we don't feel like that is going to be an inroad. Like I always say, one of the greatest things about having a franchise is that we get to hear back from our franchisees. If you think you've got a really unique perspective on that can take our business to the next level and that all franchisees, more importantly, can replicate that, we want to hear about it. We want to look at that, address it, have a new revenue stream. Those are exciting ideas. I personally just can't see a way that we can make it work and replicable right this second. So my short answer on that one is no. But I'm open-eared on it. Does that make sense?
Thanks. Yep.
All right. Thanks, Brian. All right, guys. I really appreciate all the help. We had a pretty good call here today. A lot of people interested in our program, and especially after we made these changes in the last couple of weeks, we really thought about what our franchisees need to be successful. It all comes down to support and infrastructure. A lot of the things that make going into business for yourself kind of scary is that you don't know what you don't know. And so that's where having a support team and an infrastructure and an experienced leader in franchising is going to be so important. I want to invite you guys to take the next steps. The next steps might be to have a private call with me and your rep, and follow up with Marty or Jeff. If you're new to this call and you didn't know anything about Code Ninjas before this call, I really appreciate it. You need to reach out to Marty at codeninjas.com and get in touch with him as quickly as possible so we can get your questions answered more directly. I'd like to just set an expectation. If you've been on this in our world for the last week or two, you've talked to Marty or Jeff already, you might even talk to me on the phone. My expectations is that from here on out, you're probably going to have about 45 days to complete your process. We're not pushing you into anything you're not ready for. If you want to take an extra, month, that's fine. But my old boss used to tell me it's not an action item unless we have a date on it. So I'd like to set an action item for you and your team and your franchise developer. Let's say 45 days. We're going to have a decision one way or the other, and it might happen way before that. And a lot of people here on the call today, I think, have been voicing how quick can I get open, because we do have those guys that want to just do it as quick as possible. What I would say is let's just make it no later than 45. If you give us a yes or a no, we're going to be happy, and we'll part ways friends no matter what. And the next kind of steps after this is to fill out your new franchisee application. Talk with the franchise advisors over at Benetrends if you need some financing support if you haven't done it already. Determine your cross streets where you want your territory to start, and then attend a Discovery Day in Pearland where you can meet me and the team in person and see the center. You can sign a franchise agreement after that. I really call Discovery Day is Decision Day because I think by that time you're going to know the ins and outs of what we're doing and how we operate, and you have enough information to definitely make a decision by that time. After Discovery Day, you're going to sign a franchise agreement and do all your docs at that time and then pay your franchise fee at or around the same time. We want to make this process so streamlined and so easy for you to understand every step of the way. So if there's any questions, reach out to your franchise development person and, Jeff or Marty and ask away. We welcome it. Marty, did you have anything to wrap up? Oh, I might need to turn you on here. Hold on a second.
No, not at all. Just if you haven't spoken with myself or Jeff Thames, please reach out to us ASAP so we can get you connected into the process.
Great. Guys, I really appreciate everybody joining the call today. We'll send out a email later to everybody letting them know, so you can re-listen to this anytime you want. Excited to get started with some of you guys. I know we've talked a few different times, and I appreciate you joining. Thanks a lot, guys.